Okay, so let's see. Can do percent in standard mode. So in case you guys came to our workshop last time, you guys can see that these are the same slides, right? But I chose to kind of use the same slides because really what we're learning about today, which is Intro to UI UX with Figma and Canva, is really like a continuation of what we did last time. So with much further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we had like a table of contents, and really this was what we were supposed to do last time. So we had like a short little presentation with a couple of Q&As. So we did that, and today we're going to go over a Canva and a Figma demo. And then you can have your own chance at the end of the workshop to kind of do either one of the two and create your own design to kind of like take home on one of the two. So what I'll be doing today is kind of like going over how to use these two, Canva and Figma, so that you can go ahead and kind of learn how to do it yourself. So about me, hi guys, I'm Amanda, and I'm a 16-year-old UI UX enthusiast. So I first learned UI and UX scrolling through Instagram feeds when the pandemic first hit. And that really inspired me to learn graphic design myself. I self-taught myself on Canva and Figma. I'm a director of outreach at Hack3 and have past experience creating posts for nonprofits. So my skills currently are UI and UX. So like why are some images easier in the eyes than others? Graphic design, how do you want to design posts that attract attention, and wireframing. So what tools are used to lay out websites before they're built? And really the way I learned these was that I first learned graphic design when I was inspired by Instagram. I self-designed some posts on Canva, and then I moved on as I was kind of learning Canva. I got a feel for what a good post looks like, and I adapted UI UX design principles. And finally, I wanted to design websites, so I taught myself how to wireframe on Figma. So you'll see that this is what good design looks like. However, we are not going to go over the rest of the presentation for now. We're actually going to jump straight into what we're going to do today. Okay, so how I planned this out was that, are you guys still able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So really what we're going to do is we're going to go to this site called Dibble. And you can see that it's Dribble with like 3 B's, which is kind of a quirky way of spelling it. But basically, what we're doing is we're going to look through a couple of these illustrations. So if you guys don't know what Dribble is, totally fine. Dribble is really this site where you can find like graphic designs on the internet. It's actually really cool. I'll take you guys through some of these. You can see what professional graphic designers and UI UXers do. So you can see like there's this one about skincare. It looks pretty cool, and as you can see, they kind of advertise what they're selling, so it looks like some sort of like anti-aging cream. And you can see that they have like the nav bar in the top and different people's pictures. As you kind of go through it, you can also see like trending events like Apple's WWDC, App Developer Conference, birthday parties. You can also see this pretty cool graphic design illustration. And then you can also see kind of like this chatbot app, which is pretty cool. And then you can also see like kind of a seller dashboard. And it looks like this is kind of like for stocks or revenue. So as you can see, kind of like scrolling through this, you have like a lot of designs that you can choose from. They are really cool, honestly, as like a UI UX enthusiast looking through these right now. It's like pretty cool to see them. Like these look pretty dope. So you can see that one was about learning a Python module. This one is about like medical care. And for anyone who just joined, we're going through Dribble with 3Bs. You can see it up here. It's basically like a site where you can see like different graphic designs. A lot of these people are like professionals in the industry who kind of make graphics and like wireframe out websites. And we're actually going to be taking a look at two tools that use that where you can create these designs today, called Canva and Figma. Okay. So I think what we can do is we can pick one of these designs to kind of like create as a whole on Figma first. And let's see, which one of these is a good design? I guess we can have you guys choose. If you guys would like to see either the chatbot laid out, which is this one, or the skincare one laid out, kind of like try putting it in chat. Actually, you know what? I think the chatbot will be better. Let's go with that one. All right, cool.
Yeah, the chatbot looks great. The chatbot looks great.
Okay, so I think able to kind of like resize this. We can kind of put these side by side, so we can kind of look at them at a better view. Oh, right. I don't think you guys are able to see them side by side, right?
Yeah, you might have to share your desktop completely for that.
Oh, okay, that should be no problem. Desktop one. You guys are now able to see my whole screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Chatbot is cool. Awesome. Okay. Also, I don't think my video is on, so I'll start that right now. Hi guys. Okay, cool. I do not like how this covers that. Oh wait, no, kind of covers it more. This is just one of the quirks of side screen design. Okay, let's just shrink that a bit more. Okay, cool. Okay, so now you can see Figma. So Figma is kind of like this tool, and I can just go to figma.com, that you use to kind of like wireframe and create designs. I wonder if there's a way to like go to the main site so I can show you guys that. Figma. It just takes me to my profile. But yeah, you're gonna have to kind of like create like an account on this. And so you can create like an account, and once you do that, you can kind of create like new drafts of projects. So I can show you guys kind of like an example project that UDT and I collaborated on in the past. So actually, we made this wireframe called Finessify. And here I'm just zooming in because it is so, there's so much. But what this is it's kind of like an app that helps you to like optimize your time using AI algorithms. I actually might have to zoom out to kind of like see the whole thing. But yeah, basically this is kind of like an app that helps you to optimize your time by like custom curating your schedule. It's supposed to have an AI that kind of helps you to do this. And so here we have the logo. So we did this originally for an entrepreneurship challenge called the Bloom Entrepreneurship Challenge. I believe we ended up in the top 8. But it was like super cool, a super cool experience. And so we kind of like created this using Canva, as well as like this icon software, which I'll show you guys later on. Um, And so to start off, we kind of have the loading screen, and then we go into the sign up and login portals. This design is kind of like basic just because I moved on from back then, but it was kind of actually personally like my first experience like actually designing like a serious project on Figma. So it was very fun, kind of like learning how to use the tool. And then you kind of go to the main app view. Um, so then you'd have like your schedule. You have two different ways of seeing the schedule. One is round view, and one is kind of like list view. And so basically, long story short, you don't need to know much about these except that round view is the one with the AI curated schedule, and the list view is the one where you don't pay a monthly fee, but you kind of get to like use it like a to-do list. So anyway, we had kind of like a couple of parts branching off from that. One was the user profile, which tracked the user's progress and let them to set goals. The second one was kind of like the weekly view where you could just tap on a day and add tasks. And we also had guides that would help people with mental health and productivity. So as you can see, the guides are very colorful. Not only do you have like the information and kind of like a very consistent color scheme, which is important when you actually design these projects, but you have a lot of graphics because people, when you see pictures, you can really imagine like it coming to life. So you want to include a lot of graphics in any projects that you design, whether that be kind of like a graphic design post on Instagram or like a project on Figma, because that really helps you to like visualize the information and like ask yourself, what does this really look like in real life? And your user can visualize it as well. And then last but not least, you have like the settings. It's kind of like an iOS-esque setup. And then you have like the premium version, which allows you to pay for like the AI custom curated schedule. Here we also have this fancy little graphic. And then we also have an about section. So that's kind of a bit about this project. And I tried to kind of explain it in a way that would help you to kind of familiarize with basic like UI, UX principles. If you guys missed last workshop. But basically, I would like to say there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind when you do this. So first of all, know that whatever you design, it has to be super intuitive for your user. So your user should have like a good grasp, like when they first tap on the app icon, what do they first see? And how can that kind of translate into them understanding as like right off the bat, or in as few steps as possible, like how to use the app. Also, you want to have a color scheme that's balanced. And what I mean by that is that you want to kind of like have something that is colorful and vibrant, whatever that may look like. It can just be black or white. It can be like a combination of red, orange, and yellow. It can be blue and white. Just trying to think of different color combinations. Um, but really, it really can be almost anything, but it has to be consistent, and also it can't be too flashy. Try to go easy on the eyes, even with bold colors. Like when you have bold colors, you can even look up like the color wheel and look up, oh, what are complementary colors? So I can do that right now. Color wheel, color wheel, color theory. Yeah, so as you can see, if you go to this thing on Canva that has the color wheel, you want to, maybe click on a color, and then you can see a complementary color. And this shows what colors are in the opposite spectrum, right? So you can see it's like right across. And these colors typically look good with each other. So you want to use color psychology. So if you have like kind of two very much clashing colors, then chances are they probably will not attract people. But if you use two colors that look good at each other, like maybe let's say hot pink and black, those have like a natural kind of like, pizzazz. And when you first look at them, they really attract your eye. Um, and kind of to help you, I found this like really cool thing on the internet called Coolers. Yes, it is called Coolers. Okay, that's the dude who created it. But long story short, you can find this on Product Hunt. Sorry if I went through that too fast. You can find it by typing in coolers.co. So if you start the generator, you can see it automatically generates like 5 colors that go well together. So you don't have to use all of these colors, but this is just a good way to kind of get started and get some inspiration. And the cool part is that this is all generated by like a randomized AI. So each time you kind of like load the page again, you can kind of see new colors. I believe there was a way to kind of like randomize the colors each time. Yeah. So if you click generate, it switches it. So now you can kind of see more pastel colors. And then now you can see kind of like very bright reds. And then you can go through kind of like the various color spectrums. So this is a really cool tool, Coolers, to kind of gain inspiration for like UI UX. Okay. Now we can kind of go back to Figma and kind of like go back to a new file, because now we're going to kind of go through the creating the demo of what we saw on Dribble. Okay, awesome. So it's sometimes hard to navigate side-by-side view. I will do my best. So if we wanted to create the chatbot, first there's a couple of things that we had to explore. So I guess we can go through like the basic parts of Figma before we jump right in and we look at what we need for the chatbot. So short 3 to 4 minute tutorial. So if you want to do something on Figma, there is a variety of things you can do. So if you kind of like click on this button on the top left-hand corner, you can see that you can either move things, so you can like move them around, or you can kind of like scale things. You can like move it up, you can stretch it, or you can shrink it. Actually, fun fact, I almost never use this scale tool, because really what you can do is you can select something and you can stretch or shrink, and you can also move around at the same time. But that's just a more intuitive way of doing it. And if you click on this button right next to that, you can also see frame, So you can select something as a frame, or you can just create a shape as a frame. And what the frame is that you can gather multiple elements together so that when you click on one of those elements, all of them are selected at the same time, so that if you want to like move an entire group of elements from one place to another, or you want to stretch or shrink them, then you can do that all at once without having to, I guess, like transform them individually. So frames are a very convenient tool in Figma. You can also click on this like square looking button in the top left-hand corner. And so you can also like create a rectangle when clicking on the drop down button. So you can create a rectangle, which is basically what we did. I can actually take you guys through that, and you can kind of like create this, and you can kind of like make it wider, you can make it narrower, you can kind of like grow the shape all at once. And what is really cool is that when you click on the shape, to the very right hand side below design, you can see like the X and Y coordinates. So this is the position that the shape is on in the screen. So if you change the X coordinates, you can move it to the left or to the right. And you can also do the same thing for the Y coordinates. Super cool. And for the width and the height, if you're kind of like, you need it to be like a specific dimension, you can kind of like change that by changing the width, by typing it in, or doing the same thing for the height. And you can also change like the angular orientation of this. So you can see this started off at 0 degrees, but what if you want to shift it to 90? Then it flips it over horizontally. But what if you want to kind of like have it diagonally? You can also flip it over by that, or you can kind of rotate it by clicking on the shape and kind of like dragging out the edges. So let's just change this back to 0. You can also round the corners by typing in a number that is larger than 0. So really it depends on how much you want to round the corners. If you type in 50, you will round the corners more than if you type in 20. And as you can see, it's almost like a circle. If you round it too much, it's going to like round it very much so, as much as it can. And also, not only can you change kind of like the position of the elements and the width and the height, you can also change the opacity. So as you can see, it starts out at default at pass through, but you can change this. You can go down the list. You can add light. You can darken it. You can also change hue, saturation, color, and luminosity. So what if we want the opacity to be at 0? Then you can completely pass through it. And this is done in percentage. So each time you kind of like add a value between 0 and 100%, it changes it. So that's how that kind of is. You can also change the color. So let's say you wanted this to be orange, very random color, but you can kind of change it like this. So you click on the fill button, kind of like that little rectangle with a color, and then you drag this to the place in the color wheel where you want it to be, and then you can click on the color and select which one that you want. You can also do pure black by going all the way to the end of the screen, in the bottom left-hand corner or the top left-hand corner for white. So you can do white and black and gray as well if you go to kind of like the very left-hand side of that. But let's say you wanted to add kind of like a stroke. So stroke, what that really means is like you want to add like a border and then you want that to have a color. So if you add a stroke, you can kind of like create that border. You can do multiple ones of those, but you can also change the color of the stroke. So now we have a white rectangle with a orange border. And then if you change this property, you can also change the thickness of the border and increase it. I'm actually curious to see. Okay, so you can't do a stroke of -1 because that would be impossible. But that's kind of how you would navigate that. And effects, yes. So you can also do multiple effects. So you can do an inner shadow. Can't really see it, but there's like a shadow up here. You can do a drop shadow. I'm gonna remove the border so you guys can see better. You can do kind of like a layer blur where it blurs the entire thing. And you can also do a background blur where if you kind of like add a shape behind that, let's just say send backward, then this will be blurred. And so basically that's kind of how you do it. Those are kind of like the basic properties that you can change under design. So now we can kind of go to prototype. Prototype is different. So that's when you kind of have a finalized product. We're not going to go over that right now, but if you guys want to kind of explore more about Figma, I would really recommend after this, like going through YouTube tutorials, because there's a lot of people who want to learn about Figma as well. So definitely try that. And then if you go over to inspect on the top right-hand corner next to design and prototype, if you click on that, you can also see that it has properties of the different elements. It has the colors, and the cool thing is that it has the CSS. So let's say you have a super cool design and you know some code and you want to code this into a website or something. Then you can just select all of this, which is essentially the CSS, and copy it over into your code. It also has it for iOS too and Android. Actually, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much like the basics of how to use Figma. I think what else will be relevant? So you have a pen and a pencil tool. I'm not too familiar with these because I've never actually did anything much like this in Figma. But you can also use that. You can like draw on shapes and stuff, and you can collaborate with multiple people on Figma, which is pretty cool. And lastly, if you go over to the T button on the top left-hand corner and you kind of like do some text, you can type in some text. So let's say abracadabra. So this text, if you go over to the right-hand corner with design, you can adjust the X and the Y position, as well as the width and the height, I suppose. But you can firstly change the font by going under text. So you can have like different fonts. Personally, a favorite of mine is Poppins, because of how clean it is. Change the text size by going over to this. You can change the boldness by changing it to medium, or going down the list, changing it to thin italic. And then we can change it back to regular. Also, you can change the color of the text by going all the way down to this area under fill, clicking on the square of color, and kind of like doing the same thing what we did with the shapes, going through whatever kind of like colors you want to have. You can change it to black. You can also change it to white. So yeah, that's basically the basics of Figma. You also have like more collaboration tools if you work with other people. But before we move on to the live demo, does anyone have any questions or anything? Because Q&A really is open now.
Not me. But if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the chat box.
Okay, it looks like, oh, okay, cool. So, Lisa's asking I mean, are you able to create apps on Figma? So that's a pretty cool question. You actually are not able to create apps on Figma, but what we're going to do is we're going to lay out the interface of an app on Figma. So how Figma works is you're able to kind of like create the design on it using like graphics and text and different properties so that you can see what do you want your app to look like and will this be intuitive enough for whoever's using my app to understand it. Um, and then after that, you can actually code the app yourself. So laying out the interface typically comes before creating or building the app itself. So you can build the app on Figma, but as you can see, if you go over to these different properties, if you copy over the CSS or like the iOS or the Android code, then you can actually copy these over into the app, and it makes kind of like the overall programming the app 10 times easier because you know what your design properties are going to look like. So technical answer is no, but you can kind of design the app and then build it afterwards using a separate programming language. Does that answer your question, Lisa? Okay, awesome. Yeah. Oh, so you can create yeah, you're right. Cool. So does anyone else have any questions? Okay, awesome. So I think we can kind of move on to actually creating the interface of this design over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to kind of delete what we have. And so this part is going to go kind of fast because I want you guys to have some time to kind of like build your own design. By timing, I'm not too sure how long this is going to take. I can try to kind of like go fast, but um, I'm not sure if we're going to have time to do like a bit of Canva as well. But I guess I can try to fit Figma and Canva in. And then if we have time, we can do like the interactive activity where you guys get to have time to create your own design either on Figma or Canva. Okay, cool. So if we look over to the right, this is what we're going to create. So we have 3 app screens, and it looks like this is about a chatbot that is welcoming the user to the platform. Um, and so I want us to kind of like look at what is here and say what elements do you notice um, on this kind of like graphic? Like, what do you see here that kind of communicates to the user, whether that be pictures or information or kind of like what this is about? Can we either unmute ourselves or put that in the chat? It has a nice block graphic. Okay. Yep. Yeah, sure. I can repeat the question. Also, I see some new people joined us. Hello, Ruhi. Okay, so basically, the question was, we're looking at this design on the right, and we're kind of trying to get a sense for what information is being communicated to the user. So which parts of this graphic right here kind of communicate that to the user, whether that be like graphics, text, or kind of like what it's all about. Yes, so it has a nice bot graphic. So it's representing the chatbot, this picture. It has like colors. Yep. The colors are also kind of like very, they go very well together, orange, blue, and white. So it's very appealing to the eye and it makes you want to look at it. text saying welcome to our community is bold, so it's clear what the objective is of this page, 100%. That is saying kind of like to the user, welcome to our community, and it's telling them what the purpose of this is about. Large text is easy to read and navigate. Yep. So whenever you have text, especially, you want the user to be able to like kind of read that. So don't make it too small, but also don't make it too large so that it doesn't completely fit on the screen. I like the little profile icon. Yeah, the little profile icon is cute. Yeah. Also, you can see to kind of like the right hand side under the profile, it has like icons for personality, work today, and settings. So it kind of looks like there's like different like things that the user can select under their profile. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Okay, cool. So I think we've spent enough time going over the Chatbot app. So now we can kind of go over to kind of like creating the interface on Figma. Okay, cool. So what we want to do first is kind of like see what we need to do. So it looks like we have 3 screens to start off. It's very easy to kind of like start off with like a big picture idea of like which elements you need on kind of like a macro level. So like what is the simplest thing you can create that kind of is like bigger than all of the other elements and kind of like has them all combined. So we can like create like one screen. Typically it's just easier to start off with like one screen. And if we go over to design, we can change the background color to white, which is FFF. I believe this is also called hexadecimal code. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. There's like a whole bunch of these things. But yeah, you don't need to know the exact code. You can just like select it. And it looks like this is rounded, so we can go straight over to the rounding property and change that. Looks like the screen is pretty rounded, so I would just say go for something like 30, something in the nice balance. You can kind of like look at the design on Dribble, which for people who weren't here earlier, it's kind of like this site where you can find like various graphics and kind of see like what other UI, UX, or graphic designers have created in the past. So now that we have our first screen, what we want to do is right click and select. We want to go all the way down and select it as a frame so that all of the graphics and text that are on this, whatever you do to the frame, it'll affect all of it and it'll make it easier so that we don't have to change every single individual element. And now we can kind of create like text. So looks like the first screen is kind of like a welcome screen where it says, we are always there. We are always ready to accompany you whenever and wherever. It has this little cute graphic of the chatbot, and then it has a button with the word next. And it looks like there's like a screen transition at the bottom. So we can kind of just go down the list and kind of take care of the text and the button first. Okay, so we can say we are always there, and keeping in mind that this is already in font Poppin, so what we would need to do is simply like change the size. So if we select this text and we go over under text, we can change this to I would say it's this semi-bold. We can change it to semi-bold, which is a property of text. And the nice thing is that once you kind of like put an element under a frame, it automatically becomes part of that frame. So it's very, very convenient for us, and Figma is a very beautiful, easy to use tool. It is very intuitive. Cool. So now let's create the next layer of text, which is also pop and spawn. So we are always ready to accompany you whenever and wherever. So as we can see, this is kind of gray. I'm gonna change this to medium, and then we can kind of make this like a lighter gray-ish. Yeah. And looks like this is going to be slightly smaller, so we can change it to 11 or 10. Looks like it's gonna be 10. And we can always like center this text. So if you go under text, you can center align text by kind of clicking on this text align center button. If you want to right align it, you can click on this right align button here. We're just gonna stick with center align for now though. Also, it looks like the screen dimensions, it's either the screen dimensions are different or this is just, it's okay. You can always like go back and change this later. But now we can kind of go and tackle like the graphic portion. So the thing, okay, so looks like someone said in the chat. Yeah, it looks semi-bold. Yeah. So the thing is, with graphics, you can do like a lot with them. Like if you have like a picture, you can go to unsplash.com, which has like free stock images. I honestly love this. It saves you a lot of time rather than like Google searching and finding like pictures that are like copyrighted or they have the watermark over them. But Unsplash has a lot of like free kind of like open source images they can find. There's a lot of like high quality images. So if you like click on one, this is like a really high quality graphic. And this is what I love about Unsplash. Everything is like very high dimensions. You don't need to like upscale it. It's all there for you and it has no watermark. So it has some very nice pictures. So you can like click on one and like copy it and paste it in. But we're not going to do that for today. Instead, we're going to go grab an icon, which is kind of like a picture graphic. You can use these in like logos and stuff, but you can kind of like grab one of these icons. So it looks like what we're going to do is find like an icon of a chatbot. So if you look to the right, we don't exactly have this specific icon of this like chatbot. So we're gonna have to just find another one that's kind of similar. So what we can do is search up chatbot. It's okay if it's not the exact one, but you can be resourceful and kind of like make it similar to kind of like base it off of your model image. So I think this one is kind of cute. You go to this, you can click on it and copy image, and this is right clicking. Then you would go back to Figma and you would put this in. I don't know if we'll have much time to get to Canva, but we are definitely going to skip the interactive demo. So sorry guys if you were looking forward to that. But you can kind of copy this in, and as you can see, this image becomes part of the frame. Also, if you want a certain image to be renamed, you can also rename this. So let's say you want this to be screen one, then you can rename that to screen one. So a lot of this is intuitive. You learn by doing. I know for me, I didn't watch like any tutorials while learning Figma. I just kind of like, I try to like copy graphics off the internet, and then I learned as I used the tool more. So let's see. Now we're going to create the button. I think for time's sake, we can just do like one screen and we can go through that because I doubt we'll have time to go through like all kind of like five. I mean, not five, 3 screens. Yeah, so you can also adjust dimensions of like buttons. And then you can also create new text. Yeah, so kind of like that. And sometimes the aligning can be kind of weird. As you can see, this isn't exactly in the center, which is annoying. Oh, maybe we can change the Y property. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, so there are ways to like get around these things. And then now we kind of want to add like the screen transition. So what we can do is we can add like little mini rectangles that are each like the same size. And these are near the bottom. And we can change that on the color wheel to orange. So if you take that and copy it over. Then you can have that. Does anyone have any questions like right now? Because I definitely don't want to like leave anyone feeling confused. Like feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Yes, so let's see, chat. So, okay, it's like, okay, first point someone raised, do you think using these icons would raise any copyright issues? Obviously, this is just for a demonstration, but what about in a real life design for something? So that's a really good point. I think from past experience, I haven't really run across any copyright issues, but what you can do is you can look here. So I guess in the case that you are using this icon and you want to like kind of double check, you can check to see when you click on it underneath like this whole like downloading information. It talks about like flat icon license, and you look under that and you can see it's free for use with attribution. So what that means is that you need to kind of like attribute whoever created this icon, which as you can see looks like it's free pick. So you would want to click on that, and they want you to kind of like add a small link to kind of like show that you weren't the one who created this icon. So you just copy that link. I think for Figma design, unless you are like actually kind of like putting this out on the internet, if it's a private Figma design, it's okay not to attribute it. But let's say you were to publish this somewhere, then they'd want you to copy that link and then put that along with like your design so that people know that you weren't the one who created that design. Yep. This recording will be kind of sent. Is there any upcoming webinars in the future? There certainly are. You can ask UDT more about that. Yep, so more kind of like information. Looks like we're almost caught up. So we designed like a full screen on Figma from like kind of a design on Dribble. Again, feel free to check that out more. But as you can see, this is our complete design. I can also share this link with anyone who wants it. So if you want it, just like let me know in the chat. I can always like publicly share the link. You guys might need to have like a Figma account for this though. Yep, so some people want the link. Anyone with the link can view. Okay, yep, it's like that. So I can send this in chat. And there is the link. Okay, cool. So now we can kind of move on to the Canva. Canva is going to be like a bit tough just because we don't have much time, but I can quickly go over how to use this. So there's really like two ways that you can approach Canva. I will delete the Dribble for now. Actually, you guys might want to have the Dribble, like if you want to go back and kind of improve upon this design and build upon what we have. So I can also send the link to that as well in chat. There it is. I'm going to also send all of the links of what we have covered in chat in case you guys want to cover these tools. Yeah, I think that's it. But we have roughly 4 minutes to go over Canva, which is totally cool. All right, so why don't I just create a new Instagram post? And we can call this UI UX workshop part 2. So when you first start off, as I was saying, there's two ways you can approach this. You can either use a template that already exists. So as you can see on Canva, if you click on one of these, you can see that, you can select a template and you can edit this. Like, really, this is also very intuitive. If you click on an element, you can adjust the size. You can also kind of like move certain elements around. You can kind of select text and increase the size. You can really do almost anything with templates, and that's why when starting off, sometimes using these can help you. But when you kind of get more advanced, it kind of like changes. And also, you can change the colors of these. So let's say you select an element and you want to change it to another color. So you just do that and select this square up at the top and then select the color that you want to change it to, which is super cool. And a cool feature of posts is that you can animate them. So if you kind of select this button on the top left-hand corner, can kind of animate these so that when you go to like share them, not share, my bad, download, and you can choose either like PNG, JPG, SVG, which is really like the best one because it gives you like the highest resolution, or a video. You can kind of like download this as a video and post that on Instagram. So super cool stuff. I guess I can kind of try to show you like the basic tools in like 3 minutes. This was very short, but you can do that kind of by going through this tab on the left-hand side. So you have templates, uploads, you can upload images here. Here you can upload, no, not upload, but you can search out photos. You can search up elements like shapes or kind of graphics. You can add text. You can add heading styles, which is kind of cool. You can actually add audio, which I've never used this before, but you can also do that. You can add videos, which I've actually rarely used, but dang. You can also go to background and you can add folders to kind of like put your designs in different categories. And then you can also see like different apps and stuff. But let's say I want to go through like the simplest, the absolute like bare bones stuff that you want to put in a Canva post. So we can go through like simple shapes and text before we end. So let's say you want to do a rectangle, right? So you have this rectangle, you want to change the color to blue. So you go to the top left-hand corner, you select that, and you can go to blue. It has a couple of like preset colors for you. And then let's say you want to kind of add text. So you can either do one of these like preset combinations here, or you can add kind of like text. So you can say text. If you select that, you can change the font to Montserrat, let's say, and you can make this bigger. You can also bold it. In some cases, you can italicize it. You can also change the alignment too, or you can bullet this. You can also change the letter and line height. Also, you can add like shadows or lift under effects. This is all kind of like the top area. You can also have photos. Let's say you want to add like a photo and resize it. So we actually don't have much time to go beyond this because like it's 10:01, but if you guys want to kind of explore this Canva and Figma workshop more, feel free to do that. And you can certainly find like YouTube tutorials of this on the internet. So yeah, I guess we can kind of go back to other slides. Right now, since it's kind of like over, do you guys have any questions about like Canva or Figma in general before we end? Oh yeah. Thank you, Amanda. This was helpful. Yeah, no worries. Is there a way to connect with you on LinkedIn? Yeah, sure. So you can contact me. I added my personal website, my LinkedIn, and my email address. Just like look me up on LinkedIn. I am Amanda Sherman. So just find me there. Yeah. I think there should be a way to find my profile. Okay. I can copy that over and send that in chat for you. Yep, so that's me. Feel free to message me if you're working more on graphic design. Yeah, awesome. Cool, cool. I think that is the end of this workshop then. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.